WikiLeaks documents reveal Apollo program was a fraud, moon landings never happened. Julian Assange and WikiLeaks is once again rumored to have documents that allegedly prove the moon landing never occurred. Coast to Coast AM radio show host George Norrie announced on Thursday night's episode that Julian Assange allegedly is going to release documents on the NewsLeaks website WikiLeaks that say the Apollo program was a fraud and that we never went to the moon. George Norrie called Julian Assange's alleged announcement one of Thursday's lead stories on Coast to Coast AM, which later sent millions of listeners searching for whether or not this story was even true. The popular internet radio platform iHeartRadio published a highlight of Thursday night's episode of Coast to Coast AM where longtime host George Norrie asked guest Joel Skousen what he thinks about the rumor that Julian Assange is allegedly going to publish documents on WikiLeaks that supposedly discredits the moon landing. Joel, I had a lead story tonight I've got to get your reaction to where, apparently, Julian Assange from WikiLeaks is going to release a story, a series of leaks, that the Apollo program was a fraud. We never went to the moon. Now, I have been a staunch supporter that we've been to the moon ever since this all happened. But, nonetheless, the fact that he's going to release this claiming that he's got documents from a former NASA executive is very strange, very strange. What do you think? Coast to Coast AM's website has a biography on Joel Skousen that says he's a political scientist who publishes a weekly analysis on news that helps readers to understand the hidden agenda of those that secretly control both political parties and the US government. Skousen addresses Norrie's question about Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, and the moon landing by saying that the rumor is just part of the pattern of disinformation that doesn't happen. Skousen goes on to tell listeners that we have to be very careful about somebody claiming that Julian Assange is going to do something. In fact, there's no recent credible news published anywhere online that's even reporting that Julian Assange has new documents that allegedly prove the moon landing was faked, or that he's going to publish them on WikiLeaks, leaving Coast to Coast AM fans wondering where George Norrie found Thursday night's lead story to begin with. A quick search only pulls up two news stories, one published on the Boston Leader and one published on the World News Daily Report, that claim that Julian Assange plans to release documents on WikiLeaks allegedly proving the US moon landing was a fraud. Both stories appear to have been published several weeks ago, and both stories appear to lack credibility. The Boston Leader story doesn't even include source links, and the World News Daily Report is a well-known satire site that's listed in Snopes' own updated list of clickbaiting and news-faking websites. But, according to both websites, Julian Assange allegedly received documents from a retired high-ranking NASA official who worked with the government for nearly 50 years. According to Assange's alleged source, the US government, along with NASA, have hidden the truth about the Apollo program and the moon landing for over 40 years, a long-time conspiracy theory, as outlined by APFN, that Skousen says he's looked into. According to Skousen, after carefully examining moon landing photographs in great detail with a magnifying glass, he says he can find no evidence that the moon landing photos are fake. Some Coast to Coast AM fans are wondering if Thursday night's episode was actually a repeat episode, although, it doesn't appear to be, since Julian Assange was originally supposed to allegedly release the moon landing documents on November 8 on WikiLeaks, a non-profit website that publishes leaked secret information that was founded by Assange over 10 years ago. So far, though, the only NASA leak published on WikiLeaks was back in 2013 when NASA admitted the original moon landing tapes from the Apollo 11 mission in 1969 were erased and reused sometime in the 1970s to save money. However, that same WikiLeaks file, that was published under the ongoing Global Intelligence Files, goes on to say that newly restored copies of the moon landing's original broadcast look even better. A series of Apollo 11 HD videos that were later found and restored from CBS News archives can be found on NASA.